Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. Well, for you, it maybe hasn't been so long depending on when this video is getting posted, when you all are seeing this, but for me, it's been a while. So this is going to be my first trip of the year on the river, and we're just going to give it a shot. So this isn't going to be a long trip by any stretch. We're just going to get out, test the waters, and kind of see how it goes. So it's been a long winter. I've tried to spend the winter getting after some furs, doing some trapping, that kind of thing, doing some hunting and some other activities. Weather has been difficult for me over the winter, so I haven't been able to spend as much time outside as what I would like. But now we're into that time of year where we're sort of in a little bit of a limbo state where we're waiting for things to really heat up with the fishing. So we're past fur season, none of that going on except for spring beavers right now. Turkey season isn't yet in, and in my area anyway, the fishing really hasn't heated up yet. On the large reservoirs, it's going, the bite is good, but I spent a lot of my time fishing some of these smaller waterways, and the bite just really hasn't heated up yet. But we're gonna get out and just test the waters today. Like I said, not really a long trip, just a short trip, spend some time, see if we get any bites or not. If not, you all will never see this video anyways, but if we do, I'm gonna have the camera here in the chest with me. We're gonna film it and we'll be able to post that and share that with you. So hopefully today's gonna be the day. We've had some warm weather, and so it's very possible we could get a bite or two out here today in the next hour or two. So we're just gonna give it a shot. Water levels are extremely low. I've been saying that for the past several years now. We've been in a serious drought cycle, and the water levels just have never come up. They just kind of keep going down and down. And this time of year, our water levels would typically be a little bit lower anyways, but it's going to make it very challenging to navigate even in a kayak. I'll hit several stretches of water where it's so shallow I'm going to have to get out and walk. But that's just what we're going to deal with. So we're going to put in and just see what we can find and see if any of these fish are starting to get active or not. And the bait out here today is not real great, but we'll show you that when we get started. So let's get a kayak in the water, let's push out, get to our first spot, and just see what happens. So here we are on our spot. We got a stick here in our chest that we're working around, but we're gonna take, this is a head off of a gizzard shad, and this is kind of what I was talking about for the bait situation. So I had asked the local wildlife biologist for some of these from the local water body where they do their gill net surveys, and he gave me some, but when I got them I realized they're pretty old, and when I asked him he wasn't sure how fresh they were, but was thinking they could be possibly as old as a couple of years. So that being the case, I don't have a whole lot of optimism for the baits, but a bait is better than no bait, and so we're just gonna go with what we got. And, the system is same as always. I guess I'll show you the first trip of the year. I may as well talk about my setup. So if you can see, I showed you the bait. We got that on 8/0 circle hook. I've got about a foot to 18 inches of 40-pound monofilament leader, and just a basic Carolina rig. So we're up to a 3-ounce egg sinker and 80-pound mainline braid. I like to run my mainline heavier than my leader because the way I fish, I'm fishing oftentimes in a lot of snags and stuff like that, and so if I get my bait hung, then I don't want to lose my lead every time. So we're just gonna let that sit there, and we're only about 4 foot deep here, so we're just suspended right off bottom. If there's a fish here, they'll hit. And so yeah, I'm going with baits that are not ultimately very fresh. Originally I wasn't even gonna come fish the river today. I was gonna go ahead and hit the lake and try to see if the crappie are going yet and load up on some crappie, which is typically what I do. I'll load up in the spring. We've got liberal length or liberal creel limits on the local body of water. The crappie get going in the spring. You can catch a whole bunch of them. There's no length limit on them, and they're legal to take with you and use as cut bait. So I've been doing that and just throwing them in the freezer so that when I get in the afternoon I want to go catfishing, I don't have to worry about bait. I've got them. And so I'd asked for these gizzard shads and thought that they might they may be something nice to be able to just have a change up option, and they may prove to be, but they're certainly not fresh. So, but that's all I got out here today. I went out to the lake, and it's just way too windy to be able to fish the way that I like to fish. And then that lake gets hit hard, and there just wasn't hardly any bank access. About any place you could get to the bank to be able to fish, someone else already there, and I didn't want to go fish right right on top of someone else. So I just pivoted, changed plans, and came out here instead. So we're gonna sit here for a minute, see if there's any fish going. It's, like I said, a little early yet for the catfish on some of these smaller waterways to really have that bite heating up. But we'll see. We'll give it some time to see what happens. Okay, I think we might have hooked into one. Well, it may not be too early for the fishy. As I was thinking, I didn't have a whole lot of optimism coming out here that fish would be going yet, but got a little flathead there. First fish of the year, if we get him landed, it's gonna be a flathead, and he's gonna be on a gizzard shad head that's potentially a couple years old. Well, and just like that, the ride is over. These fish are gonna be a little sluggish yet. This water's still real cold. And it's not a real big fish, but anytime I can get a flathead, I'm happy. And for the first fish of the year, that's awesome, man. We haven't been sitting on the spot for very long either. About 4 or 5 minutes. Here in the springtime, especially the early spring like this. Ooh, let's not get them hung in something down there. Especially in the early spring like this, I tend to give a spot a little more time. I usually, when I'm sitting on a spot, I give it about 5 minutes or so and then move on if I don't get bit. And we haven't been on the spot longer than 5 minutes, but we get into the springtime, like real early spring like this, and I'll give it, I mean, not real long, but maybe 10 minutes or so, maybe 15. So it's let's see if we can get this fish over. Not real great to have this stick in my way. Oh man, I got the wrong glove on too. That was dumb. Oh, okay. I get made fun of for wearing these gloves, but it sure makes fishing more enjoyable when you're not bleeding. Okay. Let's tell you what, let's get this rod out of the way. All right, let's bring them in. Oh, there we go. Oh, maybe. Okay. All right, hopefully we can pop this hook free. First trip of the year, there's always something that you forget, and for me, oh, look at that too. He was not hooked real great. Look at this. That thing will just pop right out of there, I think. Yep. Barely hooked at all. Got our shad head back. But what I forgot was the pliers, so it's, I guess, a good thing that he wasn't hooked too solid. Well, let's get our rod, or our camera mount up and get a picture with the first fish of the year. First fish of the year is a flathead, man. That's awesome. All right, here he is. I'll try to hold him out in front of this stick that I got in my way. Man, that makes it tough to get a good picture, doesn't it? Try to push out away from it here a little bit, but yeah, man, that's not a bad fish at all, and definitely a good way to get the year started for us. First fish of the year, and we're coming away with not a giant, but a good flathead. So it's a lot of fun, and I guess we know now that those shad are gonna work. I guess time will tell as far as, how they'll do for us when competing against, a fresher bait. But that's the thing, is if you can get a bait in the face of a fish, like the way I'm fishing, like I'm dropping baits like right on top of the fish. I mean, if you can drop a bait right on top of a fish, I don't know that it really matters so much what that bait is. They're gonna hit it, and especially if you're using a big head bait like what that gizzard shad head is. These guys here just can't resist. Alright, well, there's one last look at him with the stick in front of him. Let's get him out of here. Off with a splash. Alright, that's awesome. That's a good way to start the year. I've only been lying in the water for just 4 or 5 minutes maybe. Well, let's get a look at this. I wonder if we might need to replace this hook. It didn't penetrate real well, and I'm noticing now that's not terribly sharp. But I sure wish this stick wasn't in my way too. Anyway, we'll get this bait rehooked. You gave it kind enough to give it back to us. I'm just going through basically through the nostrils there. I mean, this may be an old bait, but I mean, you can see it's still bleeding plenty good there. So caught us one fish. We'll see if it'll catch us another. We'll drop it back down. Something's on it. See if it's another flatty, or if it's possible it could be a turtle. Turtles aren't going to care how old them baits are. They're going to be all over them gizzard shad heads, and they're a pretty soft meat. The shad are. The turtles will tear them up. It's acting like it could go either way. It could be another real subtle flathead bite, but it could be a turtle too. We'll just give it a minute not to pull that bait out of its mouth if it is a fish. You know, we let that bait sit down there. If it's a turtle, then we're bound to pull it up and have it shred to pieces. But if we pull it up too soon and it is a fish, we will pull that bait right out of its mouth. After that little tug, that was a pretty good little tug there. A couple of them now. I suspect that this is likely a turtle. And they will tear a bait to shreds. Just too bad, because that shad head was still in really great shape, and I didn't really want to have to cut another bait. I like those head baits too. Yeah, I think it's I don't know what it is, but the head baits just seem to really shine, and you know, maybe something about the eyes, but I really like them head baits. And on a shad, you got those real big eyes and big beady eyes. Let's let this wind blow through, and then we'll just pull it up and see. I think it's probably a turtle. So let's just take a look. Yeah, still in good shape. Yeah, you can see right here where that turtle had his mouth on him. So we pulled it out of his mouth. He'll probably be back after it, but we'll give it, oh, how long's it been? We'll give it about another 5 minutes and see, and then move on. Yeah, we're still getting worked on by turtles, and that's going to be a problem with these baits all year long. I mean, their meat is just, they're so fleshy and soft. They just tear them up. I'm going to send that back down just for a second, and then when I'm ready to move, all I've done is just move down on the same hole, maybe 10 feet or so. So I'm going to give it a few more minutes here, and then I'm going to move down one more time on this same hole, and I'll cut a new bait and put a new bait down. Had something working it there, and I dropped it. It's just hard to know, but it's probably turtles. And that's, you know, kind of what I expected when I came out here. The turtles were going to be hard to deal with, but I hope it's a fish. Yeah, but he run with it and he dropped it. Whenever, you know, when they run like that, it's probably a sizable turtle, but when they run like that and then they drop it, it's either It's either a small fish that can't get the bait and the hook in their mouth, or it's a turtle. And I think we can probably say that it's likely a turtle. It's disappointing because we're sitting on a good spot. I don't want them to ruin our bait, but I might have to move off of this spot just to avoid the headache. I got to get out of here. I haven't been fishing very long, hardly at all, but I told you it was just going to be a short trip, and frankly, wasn't really expecting yet to get bit. I wasn't really, typically for me, the bite doesn't turn on for another 2 or 3 weeks. So I really wasn't expecting anything to be going on out here, but when we got bit, then I've been wasting my weekends. I got to get out here and do some more fishing, so I'm bummed I don't have more time. But this has got to be a turtle. The way he's swimming, all directions, kind of in circles, and then just dropping it. If that were a fish, he'd have been hooked up by now. That's a turtle. So what we're gonna do is just move on before we let him destroy that bait. We'll get off at this spot, hit a couple more before we get back to the pickup, and then get out of here. Yeah, I think we're on another turtle here. Well, this is gonna be the last spot of the day, so it's too bad it's a turtle and not a fish, but I'm certain that that's what this is a turtle. How he's kind of going one way and then the other, and then dropping the bait and then hitting it again. That's classic turtle behavior. Well, I've had a good outing out here today regardless. Like I told you guys, I was only going to be out here for about an hour, 2 hours or so, and that's about how long the trip ended up being. And I got one more bite than truthfully I expected to get. So like I said, we're still a few weeks earlier than when I would normally expect to be able to start coming out here and plan on getting some bites. So now we know that we need to be a little more productive on our weekends, stop wasting time and start getting out on the water. I got some stuff I need to get in order and get prepared for the season, some reels that need to be restrung, and just some work like that, get the trapping stuff, the winter stuff kind of put away. Is this turtle hooked up potentially now? Anyway, was happy to get truthfully thrilled to get a bite out here today. It was a lot of fun, and just gonna be a short video with only one bite, but I think I'll go ahead and post it. And so I appreciate you guys tuning in, coming along with me. I'm looking forward to a good season. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun this year, and hopefully we'll catch a lot of big fish. So until next time, thanks for watching.